Alrighty, guys, welcome back. We're here again, back at the Brotherhood Podcast. I've got a good friend of mine, Conor McFadden, on today.
Good to be here.
Thank you for joining me.
Here, yeah.
So I met Conor through there's a business program we're a part of called 50X SME Matters with Porty and Damien, and he runs a first-class cleaning business. If you were to explain to anyone, I know we're going to go a bit into your story and I think, man, what you're doing is incredibly, I know when you're in the thick of it, you can't really see on the outside, but I think it is incredibly inspirational in, you're come towards your late 20s now, but to have built the business to a stature you have. And again, I know there is a next level that you want to go to, but I think for a lot of lads or younger lads listening to this, we're definitely going to go into mission and purpose. But if you were to give a little explanation of your business, how would you bring that forward?
Yeah, so I suppose in its shortest sentence I could give, it's a commercial cleaning company. We're a commercial cleaning company. We're operating across 6 counties, and we have around 65 to 70 staff working for the company. Basically, we clean any type of commercial premises. So we do a lot of offices, serviced offices, car dealerships, medical clinics. We'll do like communal areas of residential complexes and things like that as well. We'll stay away from any exterior cleaning, residential house cleaning, anything like that we stay away from. Basically all types of commercial premises we clean. And it's just kind of regular contract basis. So between 1 day a week and 7 day a week contracts. Some of the restaurants we clean are 7 days a week, and then some of the office spaces obviously Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. And then it's basically just negotiate the contract with the manager of the business or the owner of the business if it's a smaller business, and then just service them on a regular basis and do your best to make sure that everything runs smoothly.
Love it, man. Love it. And like as you were speaking, what came to mind? So obviously we'll go deeper into your story, but you were working as a Garda and also this on the side. So was it in the beginning? It was just you?
So I'll go to a bit of background. So I started off as a guard. So I done 8 months in Templemore in Tipperary training to be a guard. And then the reason I'm actually here in the first place is because they just choose where to send you. So I just got sent to Carrickmacross in County Monaghan. So it's a small town in South Monaghan, and that's where I was for 7 or 8 years. So I lived in Carrickmacross at the start, then I moved to Knockbridge. It's like a village outside of Dundalk. But it's only 15 minutes to Carrickmacross, so I was commuting over, and I did that for 7 years. And to be honest, 2.5 years ago, if someone said, "Are you going to do 35 years in the Guards?" I probably would have said, "Yeah." I never loved it, but I never disliked it. So I did that for 8 years, I think, combined. If I was Templemore, 8 years. So did it for 8 years between Templemore and working in Carrickmacross as a guard, and then about 6 years into it, so I think it was March 2024, I came up with the idea of First Class Clean, and the way that came about was essentially I was trying to get a cleaner into our house in Knockbridge to clean the house, and I went on to bark.ie, it's a platform, and I contacted a number of different cleaners, and they all came back to me and says, "Yeah, no problem, we'll come and do it, but I can't drive, so can you pick me up and leave me there because there's no bus?" So I rang the first person that said that. I says, "Oh, sorry, no, I'm not doing that." Second person the same. Third person the same. And I thought, what could I set up a business where I provide transport to people to clean, and just, that will be the business.
Yeah.
And then I suppose I thought about it for about 25 minutes. And I was like, no, I think public transport solved that one a long time ago. It was only going to work because I was in the countryside and there was no bus routes. But as soon as you go to any town or city where the clientele are going to be, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But it kind of stuck in my head. So maybe a week or two later, I came back to it, started researching cleaning companies and things like that. And at the time, I didn't even know what a cleaning company was. I was sitting there and I was like, why would someone have a cleaning company and not just hire a cleaner? That was the questions I was having. I think a lot of people probably do that. But as I got into it and learned about it and consumed a lot of content and read books around it and took courses and things like that, I was like, this could actually work. And then I took it from there. And 2 years later, I ended up quitting the Guards. Not even a year and a half later, I ended up quitting the Guards and going full time. So at the time, I think it was September 2025, I went full time with the business and quit the Guards. But at the time, I was working full time while also running a business that employed 25 staff. So I was going into night shifts, working a night shift, trying to cop an hour's sleep on a night shift, then going straight back the next morning into the day-to-day operations of a business. Now it was easier at the start because you have 2 or 3 staff and you're not, or at the very start I had no staff, but 2 or 3 staff, you might have one or two emails. It's nothing too major. If you fall asleep you go home after night shift, you sleep from 7 till 12, you can wake up. The place hasn't burned down.
Yeah.
But as you have 25 staff and there's people cleaning in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, everything else, you're always, you're always active, you're always alert, and there was never any time for sleep. So I probably stayed in a bit longer than I should have within the guards, because the business was generating good money at the time and everything else. But I really liked the job that I was working. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I liked the people I worked with. I like going in. It was actually, it was a break away from the day-to-day of a business.
Of course.
You go in there and you work a night shift and you have the crack. And Carrickmacross is a small town, so there wasn't too much happening. And worked with a set of good lads as well. So I probably stayed in a bit longer. But yeah, September 2025, then I said, right, it's time now. I have 25 people working for me. I can't do both anymore.
Yeah.
And
that was only last year.
September 2025 last year.
Man,
Or August 2025 I quit. I think I gave my notice in July.
Yeah.
And I worked out my month's notice. I remember at the time everyone's like, why are you giving your notice? Just leave. Because that's the thing in the guards. If you're leaving, people just leave. It's very different to the private sector, the public sector, the guards. And I mean, it's like, if you're leaving, you just leave. But I worked out my notice period. So worked a month and then I left in August 2025. And then since then, it's actually doubled in size. Like, it was the best decision I ever made.
Wow. Wow, man. Great journey. Great journey. And it's still relatively fresh. But obviously,
it feels like a lifetime ago, I'll be honest. It's just a completely different reality and a different life now. But it is completely different. Yeah.
Have you found the integration of that, like moving out of it and then obviously going straight into your business? I know there was like a build-up period.
Yeah, to be honest, I never sat down and analysed it in any way. I'm not like that at all. Like, I'll just get on with things and go.
Yeah.
There was no integration. I was doing it. And then, when you're working the guard, so we did a shift pattern of 4 on, 4 off. So on your 4 rest days, you feel like that's your full-time job anyway. You're running the business full-time. So it was just like constant rest days, And then I used a lot of annual leave and things like that as well around that time. So it got to the stage where even when I was still employed by the guards, I was on annual leave or rest days almost all of the time. And then when I was working, it was just like almost, I'd almost just decided I'm leaving at this stage. So there was no integration period. I just kind of went straight into it. And it feels like genuinely feels like a lifetime ago. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it feels like a different reality now.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's like a different space in your mind.
Yeah.
It's like you've got a certain foundation you're going to every day.
Yeah.
And then it's like now it's a completely different arena. And as you said, the people and the places you've invested in. And because I suppose as you're speaking, what's coming up is, because I know you've been listening a lot to Bob Proctor recently and doing a bit more kind of introspection with your business, because they always say, your business is a reflection of your internal reality as well. What had you always had that sort of curiosity, or is that just recently as you're really finding this passion to grow and expand that's come through?
Yeah, to be honest, it's always something I kind of, to be honest, since I was probably 16 years old and got into the gym. We grew up watching, I don't know, your Australian Rob Lipsett, do you know him?
No.
Well, he's like an Irish fitness influencer. He's kind of the OG of the Irish fitness space.
Yes.
Kind of got into him when I was probably 16, 17 and started going to the gym. And from there, I kind of was always invested in self-improvement content. I always wanted to do something. I used to talk about rest days there. So you'd 4 rest days in the guards. I used to really structure my day around like the gym. I used to box, because I'd wanted to implement structure and discipline into my life. But you can only train for an hour in the gym. You can only train for an hour in the evening boxing.
Yeah.
What do you do in between that time? I used to struggle with like insane boredom. I just was like, what do I do now? And I always wanted to start something, but I didn't really know what to do. I remember years ago I had an idea of like a vending machine company, and you look into it for a week and it comes back to that graph. It's like we talked about this the last day. It's like the uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, and then you give up informed pessimism. You're like, this is never going to work.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
perpetual cycle.
Yeah, exactly. So you get to the informed pessimism stage, and then you realize, that's not going to work. I did that as well with I was going to start a business where I brought in North Face jackets from Turkey and sold them, and I remember thinking, I can get them for €20, I can sell them for 80, this would be great. And then I realized, but it's going to cost me an arm and a leg to
get them
to import them. That was the informed pessimism there.
Yeah.
So I kind of just, you mess about with something for like a week or something. I was going to try and teach myself AI at one stage. This was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Again, gave up on that very, very quickly when I realized I'm just not gifted in that sense. And then with this business, I don't know, something just clicked. And it worked.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Bob Proctor. It's a book I read recently, Born Rich, and it talks about manifestation and everything else in it. And I'm starting to get more into that side of things and more intentional with how I think and the words I use and everything else. But I'm not 100% sure on that, because I spent 2 years building that business, and for the first year, every time that something would go wrong, I'd be like, this is it. It's going to fall apart now. It's just too good to be true. And so I never fully believed in myself. And a lot of that content is specifically, you need to fully believe in what you're doing before it'll work. I can't say I did. I believe in it now because we have structure and systems and a large team. And as I'm recording this podcast, I probably have 30 people working, and it is working. But, for the first year, I definitely didn't believe in what I was doing to an extent. I always took action on it, though. I always just got up and did it every single day. But, it's... don't know if that answered the question or not, to be honest.
No, but I hear you. No, because it's brilliant. It's like and I love that you brought in the manifestation, because I think, let's say, for example, if we put ourselves in the position, because there might be someone listening to this, even a younger lad.
When I say manifestation as well, that's such a buzzword, and people are
but I hear
you. You understand it, but when I say manifestation, essentially what I'm talking about is programming your subconscious mind so that you believe that you are who you say you are. That kind of thing. Yes. Not just sitting there and saying affirmations in the morning expecting things to happen. It has to be like coupled with action every single day.
Correct.
And like positive intent. But I suppose it's just getting clear on exactly where you want to get to, visualize it in your mind, and then aiming to achieve it.
Well, because I love this, because say, like, for example, a lot of young lads, and I'm sure we can go back to an early 20s, it's like, what are you really looking for? Well, it's like the confidence to do something. Well, confidence comes after the action. Right, so all of those, that self-belief comes from, there can be that sort of, everything's hypothetical or potential before you actualize, right? So when you're young, there's like this essence of, I need to prove myself, I need to do something. But as you so rightly said, it's like, it's through the action you've shown to yourself. What was the quote that we got from one of our mentors there, where it was talking about the uncertainty?
I literally, my phone's over there, but I wrote it down in my phone. I'm terrible with like remembering
I'm trying
quotes,
to remember.
to be honest.
But it was more so this quote saying that nothing's hard, it's just unfamiliar.
Yes, exactly. Nothing's hard, it's just unfamiliar. And it's as I mentioned to you previously, it would have gone back to like whenever I did sales walkthroughs with cleaning.
Yes.
The first time I walked in, my nervous system was just fight, flight, or freeze. It was like, oh my God, this is so unnatural to me. And I thought, how am I ever going to get good at this? But like I've done probably 300 of them now. Yeah. And immediately, it's almost like an opportunity to show off, rather than, because it is so familiar. It's like an opportunity to show off. And I know I'm prepared for every single question that's being thrown at me. And I know that I'm going to have clients in their area that are going to provide good references for us. So I'm always looking to get it in, rather than just being like, oh, what are they going to ask me now? What are they going to ask me now? And that's what it was at the start, but and I wish I could pull up that quote now, to be honest, because it was Paddy that put that in the story, and I wrote it down in my notes,
But it's like, what's come to mind too is like this idea of, we're so often sitting on the sidelines of our life and just coasting, right? We're just coasting, but by grabbing it by the fucking scruff of the neck and running with it and taking the action, it's this idea of, you know what, I'm going to step in, and it's like, how do you level up in a game? By taking the action. Sometimes you're going to fucking die, and then you go back and go, right, I'm not going to do that again, or we're fine. And that's exactly that process of, it was like, you know what, I'm not even going to think about it too much. I'm just going to get in, I'm going to play the game, and know by doing the reps, I'm going to invariably gain the confidence and the skill sets.
And that's why I'm almost hesitant to like talk about manifestation, because I think, and before I started to learn about it, it was like, my belief was, it's a load of nonsense, like lads standing in the mirror telling themselves affirmations, thinking that they're going to get them. Just take action on it.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think that has to be the number one priority if you are trying to do something. Action over everything else.
Yeah.
Action over everything else. Stop thinking that, I don't have the confidence, so I can't do it. I need to get the confidence first. No, the confidence is built through doing it.
Correct.
And then you go from there. And again, it's like with everything, you start a business, you think, okay, I need to learn marketing, I need to learn sales, I need to learn operations, I need to learn all of these different things. But you learn through doing. Like I started, and then I was like, right, where do I start? I suppose I need to learn how to market. So I read a few books, Dan Kennedy books, things like that, and I was like, right, sales letters, emails, old school marketing. Okay, learned a bit about that. And then as you do it, you get better at it. And then you get your first client, you're like, right, what do I do now? I suppose I need to know how to hire. I need to know how to clean. And you just take, like, I did cleaning courses at the start, because I did a bit of cleaning when I was younger. My mother and father have a holiday home back home, so every summer I was told to clean. So I had some background knowledge on it, but nothing. I took a cleaning course and actually learned how to clean. And again, it came in useful, because like when you have one or two staff at the start, and someone lets you down, like sickness, annual leave, whatever it is, I had to go in and clean. Those times I come in at, there was one specific day, and I always point to it. I worked a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift full time. Came back, looked at my phone. I was like, oh no, 3 of my staff had let me down. So I went cleaning from 8 to 10, 10 to 12 at a different site, and then 12 to 2 at a different site. Jeez. I think I finished up at like 3 in the morning, and I was back in the next morning at 7 a.m. I remember thinking, oh my God, what have I got myself into here? But you just keep going.
Of course.
And then, you learn different techniques and different systems and things like that, and then you bring structure into it. But yeah.
That's it. It's only through the trial and error. Because, what's the question? I had something come to mind there, but I think it's a process of what even led you to the business, right? Was a trial and error of you played with certain ideas and business ideas and things that came through until it gets to the point. Because there's a lot of talk, right, about everyone's trying to find that one thing. Yeah. But again, you don't find it straight away. Because I think that's going to be sort of the Achilles heel with the AI is everything comes so quickly. But the laws of nature show that great things take great time. Nothing comes quick. And anything that's truly fulfilling is done by persisting through an extremely length of time, because it's like that delayed gratification. But you were for a while persisting and playing around. There was this idea of this journey where it's like you started at a certain point, well, let's say like 16.
Yeah, I would say I started at, say, 16 lifting. There definitely was a journey that I, like, when you look back on it, like a linear journey. Yeah, 16 I probably would have started lifting weights. And I think when you're in that environment where you're in the gym and you're around positive people that are trying to build their physicality and everything else, you start leaning then towards building your mentality. And I probably would have watched a lot of Jordan Peterson content and people like that around building, your mindset and your physicality. And then you start leaning into trying to build your finances and probably that's one where I was like, I used to always say to my friends, how are we going to make money? How are we going to make money? I think that's probably the main one for young men. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? There's all of these like ideas, marketing agencies, AI agencies, but like it's so hard to learn all that. So I struggled with that one for a long time, but in the meantime, then I was like, right, I need to learn how to fight. That was a big one. So I did boxing for 3 years and had like 5 fights.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm not the best boxer in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but it was like
but
getting in the ring.
Basics down.
And it was also getting in the ring. That's the scariest thing I've ever done. That is by far the scariest thing I've ever done, which I suppose is great because in comparison, like I'll never be that nervous again. Well, I don't think I will be. I hope I won't be.
Of course.
The first time I fought, it was like a white collar fight, and I was 2 weeks notice. I think I had like 6 weeks boxing done at this stage, and it was like last minute notice. Conor, will you step in here? Like the day before, and he told me it's like a white collar event in Dundalk, and he said, yeah, you're going to be fighting some lad. He's only done 6 weeks as well. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Like, so I showed up. There was 1,000 people there. Shit, that's fucking my phone.
You're right.
Just leave it while I turn it off.
No, you're fine, man. Yeah. That's easy.
Yeah, so I had like 1,000 people there watching in a hotel late at night with everyone drinking. And he introduced me. It was Anto. He's the head coach in the boxing club in Dundalk. And he introduced me and he says, fighting out of Donegal, and the whole place went boo, like 1,000 people booing me.
No.
And then he goes, I think we can boo louder than that, folks. And the whole place started booing as I was walking into the ring. I genuinely thought I wasn't going to be able to stand up.
Yeah.
But you get through it, and then you actually come back and you go, I actually really like that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that I was able to get through that.
Of courst.
I suppose that stood me in good stead, and then I did that 4 or 5 other times, and then to be honest, I'd probably still be boxing, only I started the business and I just didn't have time to do everything. Yeah. I still only stopped about 2 years ago. I still train myself, but I don't fight anymore. I don't know if I probably will either, to be honest. I definitely don't have the time. Maybe I'll go back to it in later life. But yeah, I suppose that journey, it starts with fitness, building your physicality, then you start to build your mentality, and then I started to build like confidence, getting into the ring, different things like that. And then I suppose now it's building finances and building personal wealth and building a business. And to be honest, I think entrepreneurship and business is the best form of self-improvement.
Yeah.
It's like when you build a business or start to build a business, you start seeing everything as a system that you can optimize. Everything in business is just a system that can be tweaked or optimized or changed to make it better. And I think you start to see life like that a bit too. With your relationships, with your friendships, with your network, with all of these things, your physicality as well. you just start seeing life as a system that can be optimized, I suppose. And I think that's probably the best way of putting it.
No, I love it, man, because my mentor used to say to me all the time, he's like, structure, 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 structure. It's the same thing. It's again, all these fundamental teachings, right? It comes back to, at the end of the day, it's the basics. What are the basics of business, the basics of this? But you only get to know that by getting in the ring of life, right?
Yeah.
Where you've got the environment. It's one thing to sit on the sideline, right? It's like the man in the arena, and there's the people on the sidelines who are pointing the finger at the man in the arena, but they will never step in that arena. But it's in the arena you learn the lessons that you need to learn, but you need to fucking get in there, you know? Yeah, but there's a bit of preparation. But as you so rightly said there, through the journey of your life, everything led to one another. It was like different bricks building the wall, which then it compounds eventually.
Yeah.
And I think it's that idea of like, you just start somewhere where you're at.
Exactly.
And then that compounds. Because my mom used to say to me, and it used to piss me off, you know, like say when it came to cleaning the house or something, you know, cleaning as well. And she used to go, Darren, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I'd be like, oh, shut up. But it's drilled into me.
That's true.
Because exactly what you said there, it's like the starting at the gym, then flowed on into your finances. It's then flowed on into your, you know, eventually your workspace and the boxing, and all of these things started to build in different areas of your life. But then off of that point, you said one thing there, which I'd love to touch on a bit more, is the environment. So like, how important is the people you surround yourself with and the habits of those people?
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. You know, I've never been surrounded by bad people. I've always been surrounded by good people. But I suppose now I'm surrounded by people that, like yourself, like 50X, that whole program, business owners, so immediately relatable. They deal with the same issues that you deal with all of the time, so you immediately feel connected through. Like, oh, I dealt with that last week. This is what I did. But also people that are putting themselves out there all of the time. Versus people that are not putting themselves out there. They see reality very, very differently. You know, even just like you're posting content all of the time. And I recently got into posting content.
It's great. You should go try it out. Go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And try it out.
Yeah.
That's how you're going.
But yeah, you know, I recently got into it, and I probably wouldn't have if I wasn't surrounded by people that were already posting.
Of course.
And it's like it's nothing to use guys to post content. Like, whereas when you're starting off, like, it's really difficult to do that and put yourself out there. And to be honest, if I wasn't surrounded by yourselves and everyone else around, then I probably wouldn't have started that. But I'm glad I have taken the leap, and I suppose that goes back to the fact, it's everything's about network, and everything's about surrounding yourself with the right people and your environment.
Yeah, that's huge, because it is literally I might have touched base on this before. There's literally a psychological phenomenon called the Pygmalion effect. I learned this from a guy called Cohen Ray, and he spoke about we either rise or fall to the standards of our environment, which is basic sense. So like, say for example, someone had a certain reasonable expectation of you, let's say a teacher, right? So if you had a teacher who thought more of you, even more than what you could see in yourself, you would seek to rise to those standards that they have, or that the potential they see in you, right? Whereas if you've got a teacher that didn't see much in you, you would naturally fall inevitably to those standards that they see. So, or lack of standards that they see. So it's this idea of like, when we're in an environment where people see more in us, we rise to meet that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's again the habits, whether we consciously or unconsciously. I was exposed to this from a very early age of, you know, moving to Australia, and as you can hear from my accent, I was adapted to the environment, right? And I had a little Irish accent when I was younger, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Daddy, can I see the film?
Yeah, there's no Irish accent left.
No, that's it. But so that's, you know, we can, even as we grow older, yes, things are set in stone, but we can, you know, on a conscious level, we can control a certain amount of variables, but there's so much unconscious we can't, right? And one of those things is we do adapt to our environment. We are tribal creatures, and that's why I think it is so crucial, especially, again, it's not demonizing people and the habits around you. It's just sitting with yourself honestly and going, you know, what is the life that I want? And then who are the people that, I was only chatting to my mate Kieran about this morning, because he's like, man, you're meeting so many cool people. And it's like, yeah, because you put yourself in that environment where those people would be.
Yeah.
And then inevitably you're going to build connections.
Yeah.
Like, it's great.
Yeah. And it's being intentional about it as well. And, you know, not being uncomfortable. I actually read it in my notes, be the initiator.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way to meet people and meet like-minded people. So I like reached out to people and I consider them friends now. again, like guys like yourself run podcasts, different things like that there. And then when you're around that, you just become really, really comfortable with the idea of it.
Yeah.
You know, I never would have considered going on a podcast like 2 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
what would I talk about?
Yeah.
But, you know, you just become comfortable with the idea when you're around people that are doing that.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then when it's more like a conversation, I think it's such an example. We put so much pressure on these things.
Yeah.
You know, and I know I did when I first started out as well, and I was shitting myself. But
How long are you running the podcast now?
well, this kind of version of it, I started again in the start of this year. It's been very on and off my podcast journey, because initially in the beginning I was like, right, this is like pretty much all I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, right, I need to focus more on like revenue.
It's a brilliant way to meet people too, though.
Man,
you came from Australia a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, a year ago too.
Yeah,
yesterday.
It's brilliant to meet local people. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, and then also it was like, how can I utilize natural gifts that I have, which is I love to talk, and then I love to talk to people.
Yeah.
I love to talk to really cool people.
Yeah.
And then also it's like I love, you know, making content.
Yeah.
And then how can I, you know, share it in a way that, you know, it gives content to yourself as well, you know, to utilize. But then also for me, it's like people in the area, this is a good strategic insight. So I was like, okay, first of all, when I arrived, I was like, okay, I need to get into a community where this is exactly where my mind went when I was coming. I was like, I need to get into a community where like-minded lads would be, people I could just connect with. And I want to also get into the community, meet people, becoming like a hub network. Found the sauna place. I was like, that's exactly where like-minded people would be. So then I was like, anyway, applied for the job there, got it. Then I immediately started building network. I got like 3 guys to I was like, right, I need to run my first retreat within the first 3 months. And then I like built connections. I was like shaking hands, and then got 3 lads who I built connections with. They came to the retreat, got testimonials from them. I was like, right, bang, we've run. I've got video content, things like that. Then when I was like, okay, how can I expand out a bit more? I was like, okay, how about a podcast? And I get local business owners on the podcast. And I was like, then when I share my content, when I collaborate with them, they already have trust in the community locally. And then if they see me with those people, the trust of those people is going to transfer over to me.
Yeah.
And it's like marketing, it's exposure.
How intentional were you setting out with that? Did you sit there and say, this is my plan, or did it just kind of come together as you started taking action on it?
Well, yeah, it was like inevitably, it wasn't like something that I went, right, this is exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
but this is like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then as different steps came along, I was like, this is the next step.
And you do notice that as well, when you take action, you'll never be able to map it out from the start,
No.
but immediately other opportunities open up whenever you start doing different
That's
things.
it.
Yeah.
But you know what the next step is. Like we all do.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the best things I ever heard. One of my friends, Luan, said this at a Brotherhood event, and he was saying to me that he went to this like personal development event, right? And you know how you go to these events and everyone's like, these are the 7 steps to success, you know. And this dude comes at, that's it. It's like, this is the formula. This is I've cracked the code.
Always be wary of people that are selling that.
Correct. Yeah. Whereas this other dude, and I fucking love this. This other dude comes out and he's like, you already know what you got to do. You're just not fucking doing it.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like, and
yeah. Do you know what? I said this to someone recently. And I think every ounce of self-improvement content that I've watched over the 7 years can be boiled down to 2 words: take action.
Yeah,
that's
correct.
It. Just suppose take action and don't stop. That's it. That is it. There's nothing else. Obviously, there's other caveats and nuances around that, but it literally sums it all up.
Yeah, because it flows on to it. And I think if you were to come back to the philosophy of what you said, of like this idea of manifestation or whatever, it like all of these other ways are different flowery ways of saying it. But like it really boils down to is like each thing builds onto the other. Great quote I love, Steve Jobs: in order to connect the dots forwards, we must first connect them backwards.
Yes,
and it's only by looking back that you can see throughout your life, oh, when I started here, that led to there, and then that led to there, led to there. So this idea, exactly as you said, is like one hand, and I've seen that firsthand here. And it's been so much fun because it's like, okay, how can I go into this different arena and go, okay, can I build it? You know, and no one, it's like, man, even meeting you a couple of weeks ago, and then now we're here.
Yeah.
Like it's a prime example of like, you never know when the next contact is coming which is super cool.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you're saying there.
Yeah. And that is so crucial because I think especially with the younger lads today, or even just people in general, it's like we can get stuck on our phones and following and all of those things. But the importance of getting into your life, and as the main character or the hero of your own story, because it is way more fulfilling and fun.
No, 100%. That's actually to be honest, something I've tried to step away from so much is consuming content, just endlessly scrolling. There's actually no better way to just get nowhere in life is to just sit there and doom scroll. To the point where I see other people do it now and it bothers me, even though like I still do it from time to time.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I do it too.
Yeah. But like it actually bothers me when I hear like reels flicking in the background.
Yeah.
Just like constant, that changing.
Yes.
You can nearly feel your attention span getting shorter and more diminished as you hear that in the background. So yeah, I try to stay away from that as much as possible myself.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you. And what would you say? I know we've spoken about the take action side of things. How would you feel your psychology has evolved the more your business has grown?
Yeah, that's a good question. How would I say my psychology has evolved the more my business has grown? Man, it just changes the way you think about things. Like, I think the main one is little problems don't seem like they don't bother me anymore. You're just dealing with so many problems on a day-to-day basis that you just stop seeing little problems as issues at all. It's just the norm. So I've definitely become like it's business. It's solving problems. And then once you get bigger, you solve bigger problems. But I'd say my reaction to little issues, when you're not dealing with any issues or anything like that, little things can ruin your day. Whereas now I'm dealing with, I was up at 6 this morning dealing with issues. And I'm coming here and I'm completely fine, So it develops like that. But I suppose, as I said, not even business, just all of that. Listening to good content, like someone like Jordan Peterson from a few years back, he's brilliant on mindset and things like that. Actually incorporating what he's talking about into your life. The best thing you can do is go to the gym and lift weights. I genuinely think that's the best thing I ever did was getting into the gym.
Yeah.
It's just whatever way it happened, I don't know, was it just because it progressed me on to all of this other things with around mindset and business and everything else, but it was genuinely the best thing I ever did was go and start lifting weights. I think there's just something putting yourself in an environment every day where you're constantly like breaking down your muscle and trying hard and sweating and all of them things. I genuinely think that's the best thing you can do. But I think it's everything coupled into one. And then once you start like developing your business, your finances, your relationships, your friendships, your everything, then you start to see the results then.
Yeah. I see it like building a kingdom, right? It's like you're building this sort of castle and this sort of empire, one sort of process at a time. And in psychotherapy, my mentor used to say to me, it's like, it's all about self-love, right? Everyone's after self-love. But that's such a buzzword and too kind of fluffy for men. It's not self-love for men, it's self-respect. And it's like, how do you get self-respect? By having undeniable, stackable proof that you are, you say you are. And it's like, where's the first place you can get tangible results and see development? Fitness.
Yeah.
Because you can literally see over time. It's that positive reinforcement.
Yeah, that's a much better way of saying it.
No.
That's what I meant.
I love that. But it's so true, man. Yeah. It's so true because the masculine brain, we need to see that tangible results over time. It's like I'm building towards something.
Yeah, and actually the thing about the gym as well is you can see instant results. It's like the one place because you get a pump. You lift weights, you look yourself in the mirror and you go, I can look like this. I can look like this. And immediately, it's probably the only place in life where you can see immediate results.
Yeah.
Because you definitely can't in business. You spend a lot of time being intentional about what you're learning and what you're thinking and what you're trying to build. And then, I was doing first class clean for 4 months before I ever took action on trying to do outreach or marketing or anything.
Yeah.
Just reading books, buying courses, learning about it, saying, right, these are the steps that I need to take. And then obviously you do your first reach out and you learn all these new skills. Yeah. But you definitely do need to do the behind the scenes work too to figure out what you're trying to do and be intentional as possible about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like your due diligence.
Due diligence, yeah.
How has your life improved and how's your relationship with yourself improved as you've gone along this journey?
Yeah, deep question.
Go straight to
how has my life improved? Well, to be honest, the main one for me is I used to have so much free time that I didn't have anything to dedicate it to. Like, I think now that I have a mission and a purpose and I wake up every day with a drive, it's just so much better than waking up and going, what do I do today? Or what time will I go to the gym today? And what time will I have my coffee today? So that, there's just no purpose behind it. Like, you used to go on these gym cuts and things like that or whatever, trying to develop a purpose or a mission behind what you're trying to do, whether it's a bulk or a cut or things like that, which is great. But to wake up every day, and yes, you wake up a lot of the time and you're straight into problem solving mode and straight into dealing with problems. But yeah, for me, just waking up with an actual drive, and then you always have things in the pipeline too. So you're always like, oh, in 2 to 3 months it could look like this, or in a year's time it could look like this, and then you have all of these different ideas that are obviously you're not going to implement yet because you don't have the time. But you're like, if I can systemize this and structure this and get my free time back, I can build this. So you always have something to think about of where you're going to get to and what you're going to achieve.
Yes.
I love that, to be honest. Waking up with that every day is absolutely crucial for me, and it means that I'm happy to put up with the issues that I have, or the issues that the business causes in my life, or whatever, or the constant work that you're putting in, because I know in my head I'm like, yeah, but if I do it, I can get to here, or I can get to here.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it does perfectly, because it ties back to my philosophy with Brotherhood, and we spoke about this before, is I personally believe the antidote to all men's suffering is purpose and mission.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that, 100%.
Yeah, because it gives you direction. At least when the challenges come, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I want that, because, what happens when, again, I go back to the gaming analogy, but I know I used to love playing like games when I was younger. I don't even have a PlayStation now, but I remember I would play this game. Assassin's Creed was my shit. And I would literally, when a new game came out, I would spend like 10 hours and finish it in 2 days.
Right. Okay,
I'm not even joking. And then once I was finished, I was like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's this idea of there's this sort of infinite game of business and entrepreneurship that, there's always different boss battles that you've got to come up against. Yeah. But there's like the progression and growth, and then there's different turns. But if you've got something to work with, it gives you reason. It gives you, I feel like a life with no reason feels empty, feels void.
Yeah.
Do you know?
No, I completely agree. Yeah, for me, I probably couldn't. I hope I don't have to anyways go back and work a full-time job again.
Yeah.
Even though I work 4 full-time jobs now, I'm working in the morning, noon, and night. But it's just something different about it when you're working for yourself, or when you're running a business. You can be intentional about where you want to get to, or you can plan and you can ideate and everything on, if I do this can happen. And you never know if you're making the right decision or not. Like I'm building systems at the moment, so our area supervisor in Dublin, she's brilliant, but at the moment she's having to come to me for everything. So like something happens, pick up the phone, Conor, what do I do because this happened? And it's because I haven't created the systems where I've given her the authority to make the decisions. So at the minute I'm trying to build a system to like give her the authority to make decisions, but I'm trying to go through every possible scenario where in this decision or in this situation, you can react to this. But if it comes down to finances, you still have to reach out to me. But I don't know if that's going to work or not. So I'm building that out, and I could spend the next week building that out and building SOPs through Notion and everything else. Yeah. And I could do that for 3 weeks, and I'd be like, this isn't fucking working. Yeah. That was completely wrong. Yeah. And then you go again. But that's it. There's never right or wrong. It's just better. It's just like, that might work, that might not. And you just keep going like that. Yeah. And I like that. I suppose, there's something in me that really likes the fact that I'm in charge of where I can take the company and where I can build the business to. Yeah.
No, I completely resonate with that. Yeah. I was only had a good example here this morning. I was a new system coming in for me with Brotherhood, where we're running consistent events, things like that. And then the more we do that, the more we can nurture people, and then a system with different sort of entry points and where they want to enter in, and, building that between here and Australia and running that at the same time. But it was getting to certain points with events where it gets super close and be like, oh, let's just run it here. Where now I'm like, okay, now I'm projecting like 3 months in advance. This is when we're running it, blah, blah, blah. This is this, and that. Same thing. And do you ever get to the point, I was like looking back, I was like, why the fuck didn't I do this earlier? Do you know what I mean? Where you don't even 100%. Think when you're in different stages. Where it's like, how did I not see that then? But like, as you progress and grow, you're just going to fine tune.
Yeah, sure. Like even how I do mentorship program, it's obviously 50x, but I do another mentorship program where like I have he basically runs a big cleaning business in the UK, and I can ask him questions and things like that. Even now, I feel stupid asking some of the questions that I feel like probably lads that are just starting out probably would have solved this. Yeah. And I really feel stupid asking them questions. Like you never know, and you always think that you're behind. But you're 100% right about that. Yeah.
And that's so true. It's so true. You never get to a point where everything is resolved, and you never get to a point where like everything is perfect. I remember I was in the ayahuasca ceremony one time. I was sitting there, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, when my business is finally here, or at that point, when I get a relationship, then I'll be, I'll rest in the present. I'll be happy. But then I realized I was like, there's never going to be a point where there isn't something you're navigating with.
Yeah.
I think it's like finding the peace with that.
Yeah.
But then
I think, as I say, business is the best way to do that because there's always problems. So
Correct.
You either learn how to deal with that or you get out.
Correct.
It's one or the other.
Yes.
Because you're going to suffer for a long time if you don't learn how to deal with that.
Well, suffering's a choice, but challenge is inevitable. That's it. Yeah, that's it. I heard that.
If you don't learn to deal with it and be okay with it,
correct,
you will suffer.
Yeah, that's it, and it's so true because it's. I remember Tony Robbins. I don't know if you've seen the Tony Robbins and Alex Hormozy podcast.
I did, yeah.
Unreal because he had that sort of discussion with Hormozy. That changed my fucking brain.
Yeah. No, it was
brilliant.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about that idea of, I think Alex had this mentality of, well, if I didn't suffer, it wasn't worthy. But as he said, it's like, no, suffering, who the fuck wants to suffer your whole life?
Yeah.
It's like suffering's optional. Suffering's optional, pain is inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's that idea. And I was like, yeah, that is powerful. Because I also had a bit of that mindset too, where...
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to suffer. But if you can, you have to challenge yourself to grow.
Correct.
So you need to be able to challenge yourself to grow, but then it's a fine balance between just living in constant suffering and think you're growing when you might not be. You're just
destroying yourself.
Yeah.
But also, as men, we do grow through challenge.
Yeah.
So the feminine grows through praise.
Yeah.
Right. So praise, when you praise them, they blossom.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's like if you criticize a female, she'll dim her light.
Yeah.
Same with the man too. Like criticizing, you can offer feedback.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, men, we go through challenge because, like as you said, that's how we gain through self-respect. Right? It's like the gym, and I'm seeing progression. I'm seeing growth, and it's like we're either growing or we're dying. Right? But the challenge is so crucial, and I think especially in your early 20s, the more you can challenge yourself, the better.
Yeah.
Like I remember I did different physical challenges and things like that that were incredible for your mindset. Like I remember there's this great. I was at so there's this guy Scott Harris. He's a speaker for Tony Robbins, and I was at one of his coaching events, and I was 21. He was 20 or 21, and there was this challenge, and he said, "Right, I'm going to take all of your SIM cards. I'm going to give you $5. I'm going to give you a bottle of water and an apple." And he's like, "Right, the objective is we're going to throw you all out on the road. You have to get at least 60 kilometers away." The mission is to get at least 60 kilometers away and back. And he said, if you're not back here by midnight, we're going to lock this place up and you've got to sleep on the street. And he's like, and the key mission of this is you have to serve as many people as you can along the way.
Right.
So I'm so here I am, like out on the road, and I'm oh, right, I've got to fucking get 60 kilometers away. I don't have any money. I've only got $5.
How do you know if you're 60 kilometers away?
So, like you do a rough estimate. I was like, okay, Byron Bay from the Gold Coast I was at is about 60 kilometers away, right? So some people went to Brisbane, some people went to Byron. I had in my mind, I was like, right, I'm getting to Byron. This is where I'm going. But it was the most awesome challenge. Like I just went, right, let's see what we can do. And then long story short, I'm out there, I'm going, I speak to this guy, and I'm like, hey, this is the challenge, blah, blah, blah. He's like, look, I don't know anybody, but what you could do is it's all about being resourceful. He's like, go onto the Macca's free Wi-Fi. I still have my phone. I just didn't have a SIM card. And see if you can add into a group of the backpackers, right? So then I went in, I added into the group. No one was really coming. I was like, right, I'm going to go on a journey. I'm going to start speaking to people. Speaking to so many people on the sideline, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I can't help you. And then I went to another travel place. She's like, oh, maybe head to the buses, see if there's anyone there. I'm heading to the buses, also speak to a taxi man. He can't help me. Go to the buses. Like all the buses were gone. I was waiting around, and then all the buses going to Byron were gone.
How long did you have to do this again?
So I'm leaving at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
I've got to be back by 12. So I've got
9 hours?
Yeah, 9 hours, right? So yeah, long story short, I was chatting around. I was maybe going around for 2 hours. No one could really assist. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to go into the Wi-Fi. I seen I got added into the chat, and then two people liked my post, but they weren't even in the fucking country. So I was like, oh, shit. So then I'm looking down, and then there was this lady who put a post and hey, I want to go to Byron the following weekend. Can anyone give me a lift? I just click on the comments. I see this lady Irene, and she's like, yeah, hey, I'm an Uber driver. I can give you a lift, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I clicked on her profile, seen she was like spiritual and had like videography and photography. I was like, I can build a rapport with this. So then anyways, I'm messaging her and I'm like, hey, I need to get to Byron today. Can you assist? She's like, yeah, I can do that. It'll cost you $80. And I was like, sweet. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that'll do. Yeah. So she's on her way and she's like, maybe you can cut with 4 people. I was like, yeah. But like, I didn't have $80. I was like, once I get in the car, I'll have a chat to her.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so then anyways, she's on her way. Halfway along the way, she's like, oh, look, I need to bump it up to 100. I was like, it's all good. She's on her way. So this lady's on her way. I'm on the side of the road doing like the power pose to like increase my testosterone by 40%. I learned that from Tony Robbins. So all these people are walking by and I'm fucking...
What is that? I've never heard that before. You do a power pose?
Yeah, power pose. It's like a superhero pose and apparently increases your testosterone by about 40%.
Right. Okay, I must try that one.
I know, yeah. So I'm like throwing everything at it.
Yeah.
So anyway, she arrives, I get in the car and and I'm like, hey, this is the scenario. And she's looking at me. She's like, look, I believe in karma, but like, I really need the money. And then I was chatting and I had this thing in my pocket that this psychic lady had given to me. And it was like this idea of, you know, the universe works in mysterious ways or everything's always working out. And I had this and I just went, I don't know why I'm meant to be in this car, but I just feel like I am. And she's like, yeah, I believe in karma, but I really need the money. So I was like, okay, if you get me to Byron, we get free Wi-Fi, I'll transfer across and I'll pay for petrol. How does that sound? She's like, yeah, okay, cool. So I'm on my way to Byron now. Right. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. So we're on our way to Byron and we're chatting. We're getting on like a house on fire. Right. And she's telling me about how, you know, she was in the Italian army. She had a friend who died in the army. Like, and just connected on Assassin's Creed, the video game. And we get to Byron and then we go and sit on this like green area near the beach. And we're like chatting for hours. And she turns to me and she goes, Darren, I needed this so much. She's like, I was in a really dark place. This has made my like week, or made her months. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to bring you back. And then I had in my mind, well, I've definitely got to give her fuel. And it was beautiful. There was like an emotional connection there. And we get back, I shit you not, at 11:58, right outside. Like, this is where it's magical, mystical, right? 11:58. I go to transfer the money and she's like, Darren, no, it just doesn't feel right. So anyways, I got the $5. I had the like little card, that psychic card. I wrapped the $5 and I gave it to her and she's like, I'm going to keep it for the rest of my life. I made it back with 2 minutes to spare.
That's an insane story, man.
Isn't it unreal, right? Yeah. And like, that was one of the best things.
Did everyone else make it back?
Yeah, bro. Like, some people were feeding homeless. Some people hitchhiked. Like, it was, the next day we were in the most incredible state. Like, who has the balls to send their clients out and take their thing? Like, it was an incredible challenge. But it was one of the best things I ever got because I always learned the universe or the God source has my back. If I serve people and focus on serving people, I will get there. And it's never a lack of resources. It's always a lack of resourcefulness. And there's always a way.
Very brilliant lessons to learn.
Man, and you just do it. And as you do the next thing, it's like that, it leads to the next. And you've got to go out. And
when was that?
That was in the end of 2018? End of 2018? Yeah. So that was, So one of the best sort of rite of passage initiations that I ever got.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. Yeah, it's something you would never ever do unless you're like challenged to do it as well.
Yeah, but it's that idea of when you have, this is the importance of like initiation of rite of passage. I speak about this in Brotherhood. It becomes a checkpoint of where like from that moment I realized it's like the boy to the man. It's like you realize what you're truly capable of through a challenge. And when you're younger, testing yourself, and that is so crucial because then that's where the self-belief comes from. That's where the self-respect comes from because you come out the other side of the challenge and realize, fuck, there's so much more in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's exactly what it is. It's challenging yourself and overcoming it and realizing, I can do that. And then it's the next one, and it's the next one, and it's the next one. And it's just incremental growth all the time.
Yes.
And then you look back and you say, I came a long way. And I used to be a real scrawny lad. Like when I was in school, I was like 68 kilograms.
Wow.
I'm like 80. Well, I'm cutting down now. I'm trying to get lean, but I got up to 86 kilograms when I was like in probably the best shape and strongest and everything else. But you never really notice it in the time when you're doing it. You're just constantly
Of course.
making incremental growth and small gains and overcoming little challenges here and there, and then you get there. And it's it's the same. I'm repeating myself now, but it's the same in every avenue of life. Fitness,
Of course.
mindset, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's an insane story.
I love it. I've never actually shared it
And
on
the
a podcast.
best part is I'm gonna increase my testosterone by 40%.
That's it. I know. So there you go. I'll have to go straight on my Instagram. Trademark that shit. No,
Brilliant, yeah.
Tony Robbins taught me that one.
Yeah.
So man, awesome. Leaving on a final note, what would be the last thing you would have to say if you were to speak to a younger version of yourself? What would you say to yourself?
Speak to a younger version of myself. So I heard a quote before, and it's like you can either work up your 20s or you can live up your 20s. You can't do both. I actually feel like I did do both.
Nice.
I lived up my 20s till I was about 26.
Yeah.
Like, I did a lot of partying, a lot of drinking, a lot of lads' holidays, a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And then I've worked up my later 20s, like from 26. I haven't really done anything. I stopped drinking for 2 years. I don't really drink as much at all anymore.
Yeah.
I started drinking again about a year ago, but I really haven't. Maybe 4 or 5 times drinking.
Yes.
I probably just tell him to just start whatever it is. Just start. Stop procrastinating for so long, because especially in my job, I suppose I was lucky in some ways because I had that 4 on 4 off. I had 4 days to, like, I don't know if I would have started this if I didn't have that time. If you work 5 on 2 off, like if you work your 9 to 5, people say, oh, you can work 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then you can work 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. But that's tough. Like that's tough.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, whereas I just had 4 days off. And it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me in some sense, because I was just bored all the time and needed to do something. I needed to take action on it. Suppose I was talking to my younger self, and if I was talking to younger men in general, that's what I would say. Start, because you need to develop a mission. You need to have a purpose in life.
Yeah.
There is a mental health crisis among young men. And I know a lot of people say, like, yeah, you need to speak to people, you need to talk to someone, you need to talk to a therapist, and I'm sure there is value in that. But I think way, way beyond all of that is you need to have a mission and a purpose in life.
Correct.
And you need to start something. I think suffering is procrastination and boredom.
Yeah.
That was my suffering. I think if you have something that you're able to focus on every single day, and I also think it can't just be fitness, unless you're building something around fitness.
Yeah.
But I think that is part of it. I think there has to be like a business element to it, or if it's not business, I don't know what it is, but it has to be something that's going to take up a lot of your time that you really, really want to work on.
And serving others,
a skill, like a sport, whatever it is, it has to be something that's going to really, when you wake up in the morning, say to yourself, I look forward to doing this today.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the antidote to mental health crisis. So I solved it.
We're done.
Solved it.
And done.
Perfect.
Yeah. But man, it's so true, because again, you get in your head, you're dead. It's like when it's just me. When you have too much time to think, I think I'm the exact same. If I have too much time to think, I end up creating my own perpetual suffering.
Yeah.
The mind will always look at what's wrong. So that was brilliantly said.
That's actually the book Poddy gave us to read, The Green Platform. That's like the first page in it. He's like, the human brain has 50,000 thoughts a day. I can't remember. I think it's 95% are negative.
Yeah.
So if you're in your own head and 95% of your thoughts are negative, you're going to
fucked.
struggle. You're going to struggle, yeah.
Yeah.
So
We'll just say it as you're fucked.
Yeah. That's the title of the podcast.
You're fucked with Conor McFadden.
That's the one takeaway from the podcast. But yeah, like I don't have all the answers. I'm just saying what's worked for me.
Bro, no, but it's brilliantly stated because it's so true. It's like, it's simple. It allows people to go and apply, which really at the end of the day is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Love it.
That was good, man.
That was brilliant.
Very good, yeah. Enjoyed it.
Where can these guys
so
find
I recently just started posting content. So Instagram, just Conor McFadden. I think it's Conor McFadden ____, and then TikTok, Conor McFadden ___, and then LinkedIn as well. Always open to connect with other business owners on LinkedIn as well. So I think it's just Conor McFadden on LinkedIn. That's pretty much it. I only started posting content like a week ago, so it's pretty basic at the moment. Hopefully it'll improve over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go from there, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Love it,
Yeah,
man.
appreciate
Thank
that,
you
Darren.
for jumping on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, much appreciated.
So, guys, thank you for joining us again. As always like to say, the mission beckons, the mission calls. Let's fucking go.